I'm ready.
The Facebook Warrior.
Oh, yeah, bro.
This is the question this week, guys. If you guys want to be on a Facebook Warrior, that means I read your comment out loud and read your name and all that stuff. You go to my Facebook page or go to the Toasty Podcast Facebook page and answer the question that I have there. There will be one question a week. And I will hashtag it FBW and QnA so you'll know which one I'm talking about because I do post a lot of stuff. If you're still listening, I'm so glad. And if this is your first time, you're welcome to the #1 political podcast in DFW. We also talk about society and culture. And if you haven't already, subscribe, follow, hit that like button. And last but not least, and probably the most important, go rate the show on Apple Podcasts or the Facebook page, the Toasty Podcast. How do you believe Ukraine and Russia will resolve the current war? The reason I asked that is because I didn't want to ask, do you think America should get involved? Because that's kind of already happening. I wanted to see what's the end result. What's the end result going to be, guys? What do you guys think? Because there are a lot of outcomes that could happen. We talked about possible outcomes on our previous episodes. You guys can go listen to that if you want. First commenter, Cody Holland. Someone on the inside takes care of Putin. Wow. Russian troops shrug and say, guess I can go home now. What do you think? So basically he's saying someone assassinates Putin on the inside.
Okay, so
that was mentioned. He's not the first one to mention that.
Oh yeah.
But,
people mention that for literally decades. So no, I don't think he's going to be assassinated at all. He would have been. There's no way. I just don't think.
I agree. It's not going to happen. I was thinking more along the lines.
If Russian soldiers, if he was assassinated, I don't think Russian soldiers would just give up and just be like, let's just go home.
Right. He's thinking they're all like, they don't like their leader. But they do, like what we just talked about. Actually, the sentiment turns out, I think there's a lot of approval rating for Putin.
I mean, he's only gained them territory.
Yeah.
In the long run, he's gained parts of Georgia. He's gained Crimea.
Imagine the Ukrainian sentiment of, we're going to fight for our country, but on the Russia side.
Right.
What if? They wouldn't stop. If Zelensky dies, Ukrainians are going to keep going, guaranteed. If Putin dies, I feel like it's the same scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Someone commented on that and replied to that and said, that's what everyone is hoping for. I'm not hoping for that.
No, that's gonna be more chaos than anything.
Way more World War III, you want to talk about World War III?
Yeah.
Let's talk about something big happening, catastrophic happening.
Franz Ferdinand, ring a bell?
Franz Ferdinand. Doug Worth, global nuclear war. We all die.
No.
I think that he's being sarcastic.
Russia's nukes don't even work anymore. Next question. Next comment.
What? Well, that's not true, right?
Well, do you know how expensive it is to maintain a nuclear weapon?
Is that just one of those questions? Do you know? Is that just
one
of those questions?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know it's extremely expensive.
If you're listening right now and you know how much it costs to maintain a nuclear weapon, please... What? You're going to look it up?
Yeah.
Email us, listentoastypodcast@gmail.com. Someone replied to him and said, a higher probability than most people think. That's Lee Cash. Lee Cash said, a higher probability than most people think. Well, I mean, it could be. I think that, here's what I think. Speaking of this specific comment, talking about nuclear war, I mean, do you think that, Putin knows he's close to like dying, right? Like he's like getting up there in age, right? So if he knows that and he wants to leave his legacy, where do you think that stops for him? You know what I'm saying?
Wait, repeat that question.
If Putin is getting up in age and he knows that, but he also wants to leave his legacy
because he's dying.
Seems like the type of person that would want to leave his legacy.
Yeah.
What would he do? What would he stop at? He wouldn't stop. He would stop at nothing to leave his legacy, right? You think?
Absolutely not.
Compared to from what he looks like on screen, I would say he's going to do it.
He's going to have. He wants banners of himself. He wants Lenin, Stalin, Putin. That's what he wants.
And if he has,
and he is on track to get that.
If he has the resolve he's had so far, and we end up in a nuclear situation, I don't think he would hesitate. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. Next guy, Brian Casco. We had him on the show before. We actually want to have him on again because it was. I just want to hear his thoughts. I want to hear what he has to say. He wants to talk about guns, but anyway, I say they need to just handle all this in the metaverse.
Give me a break. That's funny. That's funny, but.
Oh, man.
Lord. I'm sure some people were like, why don't they?
Why don't they? Some 19, 18-year-old guy on his computer
Yeah.
reading that. Well, can't they? Yeah, he has a girlfriend in the metaverse, dude, making out with his, with his VR headset on.
Why don't
dude.
you just make babies in the metaverse, dude, instead of real life?
Sorry if you're one of those kids. Anyway, Corey Evans. Corey Evans, bro, he comes in clutch every time. He gives us the actual answers we want. Like, he really thinks about it and gives us an honest answer. Honestly, Corey, if you're listening to this show, which I think you do, it'd be awesome if you came on with, like, a Zoom call or something. He's actually written a book recently, and I would love to talk about your book you wrote and how you got it published and all that stuff.
Cool.
Really awesome to acknowledge that you're just freaking doing it out here.
Yeah, plug
bro.
your book on our show, dude.
Dude, plug it! If it resolves anytime soon, Russia withdraws, halts or annexes a small portion of the Ukraine, this conflict is becoming too costly for Putin. Does not escalate to nuclear war. No one wants to rule over rubble, and the clearest motivation so far for Russia has been a land grab. Belarus formally becomes a Russian territory, which it already is in practicality. However, I don't think Putin stops saber-rattling as long as he and Joe Biden are in power.
I pretty much agree with all of that, except for maybe the part where Belarus formally becomes a part of Russia.
You don't think that'll happen?
I don't think it's necessary for Russia to have that. I think it'd be more of a liability than an asset.
But hasn't Zelensky already said so? So they've already tried to come up to negotiations, and Zelensky was like, "We'll just retract all talks of NATO for you," and Russia's still going.
So here's
Putin's
the thing. Here's what I think is going to happen.
Well, just tack that in.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that basically all of that, except for what I said, and then adding on to the Ukrainian side, he just left out Ukraine. Like, nothing's going to happen to Ukraine. No, Ukraine.
No, he didn't. He said, if it resolves anytime soon, Russia withdraws, halts, or annexes a small portion of the Ukraine.
Yeah, he didn't mention anything about Ukraine. He mentioned Russia. Listen. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
So, yes, parts of eastern Ukraine will cede to Russia. That's probably going to happen, including Crimea.
Oh, I see what you mean. Go ahead.
The rest of Ukraine will still be a country, and that will join the EU. That's going to happen relatively soon, probably within 2022. They will not join NATO. They probably never will join NATO because at least I think it's kind of an old, and I'm not a globalist by any means, but I think that the idea of a quote-unquote buffer state is a very, I know we're not very far into the 21st century, but I think it's a very early 20th century and 19th century geopolitical idea. Okay, I don't think it's very practical these days. Like, Russia can influence America so easily just via the internet. You know,
right. There's no need for a buffer.
There's
buffer
no need for a physical.
Even if the one's there, it doesn't matter.
I understand that physical land is very important and that territory is very important. That reality is real. Obviously, the metaverse joke was not lost on me, but at the same time, I feel like actual buffer states, like between Poland and Russia, I don't feel like it's as necessary as it once was 100 years ago or 50 years ago. So that's kind of where I'm leaning as far as like why not have Ukraine join NATO? I feel like it would be a safer world if Ukraine was in NATO. It's more deterrence as opposed to like there's this big old giant hunk of land that Russia's biting off little chunks, and then all of a sudden you've got the West wanting to bite off little chunks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but are we?
And they're fighting over the middle as opposed to just having the middle just join all of the rest of NATO.
I
just
understand
cut it
what
off.
you're saying.
Cut it off right here, and it's like you can't have any more, dude. You're done. Okay, Putin's insatiable. He's not gonna stop. He's not going to stop until.
So will that not?
But he's also not stupid. He's also very logical. He's not going to go in unless he's got an end game and he knows what he wants. He knows what he wants.
No, I agree, but I think he
desperate.
made a mistake. I think he actually did make a mistake, and I think he did underestimate Ukraine.
Yeah, I think it's taken. No,
actually happened.
I agree, but
he is logical. He is there, but he may. I mean,
100%. But the only thing is, I think it's taking him about a week longer than he wants it to.
Also. Is it
that's
him,
about it,
or is it his like quote unquote cabinet? Is it his?
He's surrounded.
Oligarchs?
He's surrounded by a lot of yes men
is
for
he
sure. And
in the state of mind right now? Do we know? We don't know. We have no idea.
No, there's a ton of speculation. And the one thing I've heard is that he's sick. He's got a puffy face, and that obviously that happens with old age. When you turn 70, you kind of get your face gets puffier. I mean, it happens with everybody. It happens with
there was a
anybody who turns
picture that
70,
I don't know if
80.
it was going around the internet. I don't know if it was real or not. It was him and then the long freaking table, like longer than this podcast table.
That
and
was
his
the
cabinet,
other thing I was going to mention.
His cabinet. It was because of COVID. Apparently, he didn't want to get COVID.
He's
from it. That was a
extremely
report from the
paranoid
news, right?
of something. Because
Something,
we don't know if it's COVID or not. Because
we don't. It's
it's speculation, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But there are a lot of pictures. And that was what I was going to mention. He is separating himself physically, like by 10, 20 feet. Like, these are big tables.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 of these podcast tables, easy.
And this podcast table is actually really freaking long for being
like
in a studio. It's
like 7, 8
80
feet.
inches, bro.
Yeah. So
I don't know why I know inches, but whatever.
But so he's like physically separating himself. So it's peculiar, but it could just be a show of power. Like, this is how far away from UIM, or it could just be
because he wants to isolate himself.
Or it could be it could be a show of power, a show of like, look how far ahead of you I am, look how unattainable I am compared to you, or it could be paranoia from like germophobia, or it could be paranoia from assassination.
Well, that's another good
point.
Because
I mean, you could have slipped something in my Coke a while ago,
right?
And I wouldn't have noticed.
He's been known to apparently poison doorknobs. I looked into this a little bit. I didn't know what Putin what the kind of stuff he did, but he poisoned the doorknobs for like American officials apparently at one point. I don't know how long ago this was, dude. It could have been forever ago, but apparently he's done it. And he poisoned the doorknob, and it got on the guy's hand, and somehow it killed him.
He killed a guy. He killed a political opponent with radiation before. Like, made him eat like a radioactive cracker or something. No, he put it in like his tea, I think.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so
like
that's
a radioactive isotope like in his tea.
So do you think this guy, speaking of all this stuff, do you think this guy is going to stop when we decide Ukraine is ours, or in the EU, or even in NATO? It doesn't matter. Buffer states don't matter, and you're right, they don't. But what happens when he's like sees that? He's gonna nuke. Like, when does nuclear war break out? You really think he won't, no matter what? Come on, come on, dude. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he?
Because
look at him. He freaking radiated some guy to win.
Because he would lose. Did Stalin lose? Did Lenin lose? No, they were winners. They won.
Will he win? Will he lose if nuclear war breaks out?
He won Georgia. No, the thing is that's the thing. He won't go into it if he knows he's going to lose. He's way too smart. I honestly believe that Vladimir Putin is probably the smartest geopolitical actor of the 21st century so far. Period. He's been in power this entire time, the entire 21st century, since 1999, been in power. He's pretty much only won. He's made a few missteps, but nothing to lose power, nothing to lose territory, nothing to really, really hurt his country long term. I mean, these sanctions are doing some damage, but McDonald's will be open in 3 or 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, things will go back to normal in Russia in 5 years. But they will also have hundreds and hundreds of square miles of new territory.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, America did that like gangbusters in the 19th century. We just expanded like crazy because we could. Now he can't expand like crazy because it's the 21st century, and that's just not how the world works anymore.
We're in the end game of risk right now.
But he's not gonna jump into something that he knows he can't win, because he doesn't want to be seen as a loser. He doesn't want to be seen as a Brezhnev or a Gorbachev. He hates Gorbachev.
Well, then Xi Jinping would probably not even talk to him like he is now. They're buddy apparently, and so
they haven't always been like that.
No. But the show of force matters. So if Russia loses, then Xi will be like, well,
I don't want to hang out with the losers. I want to hang out with the winners, like Joe Biden.
Like Joe Biden. What?
Oh, we're all screwed.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
But okay,
right,
so hey, real quick to go back on this, I looked it up. So the CBO just came out. This is super recent, actually. Well, not super recent, but within the last year. The CBO, Congressional Budget Office. This is just from the Hill. The U.S. nuclear arsenal to cost $634 billion over the next 10 years. That's from March of 2021.
How much oil costs?
No, that's how much our nuclear arsenal costs to maintain for 10 years. About $60 billion a year. Ain't cheap, bro.
But I know, but you don't think Russia's making that money? What was the GDP again? We looked at it last time. The GDP of Russia?
It's like a tenth of what we have.
It was like 10 million or something like that, right? Sorry, 10 billion or something like that, right? 10
No.
trillion. Sorry, 10 trillion, right?
No.
Because we're like 39 trillion, right?
No.
Hold on. Let's look this up. I'm sorry,
But
dude.
you're way off. It's about
I'm sorry,
our
dude.
GDP is about 17 trillion, I believe, and then Russia's is about 1.4 trillion.
Russia Federation, 1.4 trillion.
We looked it up. We looked it up like a couple weeks ago.
I know we did, dude. I couldn't remember at all. Like I'm just like, So, I want to look up the United States, dude, just to make
I
sure.
think it's like 17.
Is it really? I guess I thought 30s. Why did I think 30s?
Maybe it's 21. It's something like that. It's like way higher than everybody else.
It really is, dude.
No, ours is
I thought it was in the 30s, bro.
what is it? Is it 19?
I'm looking right now.
I think it's 9. I think ours is 19 and China's is like 13 or 14. It's creeping up.
Okay, 20. Whoa, what? This is all whack. Hold on one second, dude. I'm sorry, guys. I'm reading this.
Hold on, I'm just
trying
gonna
to
look
find
up
this
U.S. GDP.
Oh, it was going by quarters. Don't go by quarters. Just show me the freaking GDP, bro.
20.94 trillion. There we go.
Thank you, dude. Jeez.
Just Google it, bro.
20 point. I did. Oh, this is okay. 2021 is expected to be 22 trillion.
China
Damn.
is 14.72 trillion. They are creeping up.
Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, their GDP is not like that much at all, and now it's less because we're not buying from them. Apparently, we're not buying oil from them or whatever. So we didn't even really talk about that, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a history of what's going on with this war. So it's not necessarily unprecedented, in my opinion. This whole war thing, it's not unprovoked, though violence was not the provoking measure. And just to wrap that up, 30 years in the making for Russia to want Ukraine back. And recently, 2018, so that means like if you broke up with your girlfriend and you wanted her back, 2018 to now, that's not that long to get over a breakup. So
A lot can happen between the two. Hey, real quick, so
Yeah,
just
for
some
sure.
some nuclear
That was the
weapons.
wrap-up.
This is cool. Some nuclear weapons stats. So the United States has done 1,054 detonations. We have detonated over 1,000 nuclear bombs.
I don't know. I don't
That's
know if that's surprising. I don't know if that's
That's
surprising.
shocking.
Is it? I thought we were testing them all the time.
I thought we detonated like maybe 100 or like 50.
I thought we were detonating. I thought don't we have to test them? Don't we have to test them all the time? Like I would expect more, honestly. Like, think about missile testing
1,054
and stuff.
nuclear detonations?
That doesn't mean that it's all freaking crazy, huge, like massive explosions.
Yeah, it does.
No.
They're nuclear explosions. That's what it, yeah.
But isn't there a range, dude? Like for a nuclear bomb, it doesn't have to all be crazy.
No, they're just all either in the desert or in the ocean. Bikini Atoll or...
You should see the range of dates on when they were detonated. Because I wonder if almost all of them were done before we bombed. Like,
I mean, I could
Hiroshima
tell you
and
it's
stuff,
like
you know what I mean?
1945 to like 1960-ish.
So that's probably the range. You're thinking modern day? Probably not. I thought they had more control over it now. I'm just saying I thought they had smaller ones and bigger ones, and you know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Whatever, dude. Doesn't matter. Let's wrap this thing up, dude. We gotta wrap this up.
Okay, sorry. So Russia has... Okay, so supposedly they have 4,447 nuclear warheads. About. I don't know what that's from. Independent.co.uk. And then the U.S. has 3,750. So it sounds like they have a lot more nukes than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Ours costs $60 billion a year to maintain. Okay. Our GDP is like $19 trillion more than theirs is. They have more nuclear weapons than we do.
And less GDP.
And you think they maintain all of them?
Or they're just lying about how many they have.
Yeah, I think
There's
they.
no,
I
like,
think
service that keeps track of that.
Yeah.
They don't have to. They're not a part of any organization, like a world organization. They're themselves.
Well, actually, the International
You talked about
Atomic
this last
Energy
time. There is one. Yeah, there is an organization
Association,
or association for it. But like, come on, dude. You can't. They can probably like fumble reporting or numbers or whatever and make sure it's wrong.
I mean, hiding nuclear silos is pretty hard in the satellite age. And hiding making nuclear weapons is pretty hard. Like, we know when Iran is doing it. Oh, we're watching. We'll say.
Oh, we're watching, bro.
If it's one thing that the United States intelligence community can do, is it's watch everybody else, live their lives. And so.
Well, on that note, guys, I'm glad we got to be here with you guys. I'm glad you guys got to join in on this conversation,
Yeah.
I'm going to
Get a little bit of historical context. You learned about Andrew Jackson and you learned about Russia and Lenin in the same podcast. Like, come on, man.
That's what it's all about. Number one, politics, society, culture. What up? Also, I'm going to have more guests coming on soon. It'll be random people that have nothing to do with politics necessarily. I just want to have everyone on. I want to talk to everybody from all walks of life. Doesn't matter what political background. I want to know things.
Tell us about it.
I want to know things. I want to learn.
He wants to know things. I want to argue with you and tell you why you're wrong.
Dude.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to be combative. I've been cool. I'm cool.
Bro, trying to get them to actually come on the show. They won't come on. If
I know.
All right. Just kidding.
Playing dog. All
right, guys. Stay tuned.
That's why I'm trying to call you, girl. W-I-N. Life's not fair and I'm here for that. See when I sing, to back for that. Learn as I go, just snag for that. Back for that. But this ain't one of them boom boom paps and this ain't one of them smash collabs. And I go hard like smash and grab, it's a beer. Yeah. Now all I want to do is make clear that all I'm trying to do is rap, but not like one of them mumble queers, cause all they seem to know is rap. You notice how it's a flow for y'all? Just to see y'all clap. Look, when it comes down to it, I'll get right down to it. Yeah.
Toasty.